And how are you
In
doing?
a suit. My spirits are better.
Good.
I've lost weight.
Mr. Raymer,
You're looking really good.
How are you, sir?
he's going to do
Detective
the
Martinez.
questioning. Is that
I don't know
true?
if I met you before.
Is he going to do most?
No, I don't think we've met. You know what I'm going to do?
I promise I'll be compliant. Won't cause any problems.
I'm going to take these off because they look like they are too small.
There they are, and
Yeah.
I can handle the ones on my ankles, but these are killing me.
It's a big
What
one.
do they do? Make you take the stairs?
Huh?
They make you take the stairs?
You know, I get with my stride. It's really like this when you got those long legs are so far up.
Oh, yeah.
Can I pull my pants up? Sure. I hate that look.
That's you right there.
I promise I'll be totally compliant. Won't cause any problems.
Have a seat there.
Even though I might like you to put a bullet right here, but I'm not going to be too much of a coward.
All right. You're David Shepard?
David.
His name? Okay. What do you want me to call you? Dave? David?
That'd be fine, sir.
Okay. Either one.
That'd be fine.
All right. Good. My name is Martinez. I'm a detective here with the Lubbock Police. You command Detective
We've met a
Johnson.
couple of times.
Okay. We're going to go over this case. I'll explain to you some of the things that I'm going to ask you. Your attorneys are here. If at any point you feel like you need to ask them something or whatever, they're right there.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Did you get the document? We're good to go then.
Okay.
Let me tell you one thing before we start, okay? Everything's being recorded. If he's talking, I want you not to, okay? Because if two people are talking, it's going to sound like garble on the tape. So I want you to let him, even if you know what he's going to ask, let him finish, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Okay. You doing okay? I mean, I know the handcuffs were a little tight and all, but other than that, physically, you're okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. You don't have any injuries or anything we need to know about, need to take care of?
What do you mean, injuries like while I was in the jail or anything
Yeah,
else?
right now, you're okay.
I'm fine. Thank you, sir, for
Okay, all
pressing.
right, all right. If at any point, at any time that we're talking here, you need a bathroom break, you need some water, so we have some water here, let me know and we'll break, okay?
Yes, sir.
I don't want you to be uncomfortable, so make sure you let me know and we'll take care of it.
May I have a water bottle, please, to get cotton mouth while we're talking.
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
I'm going to start off here. I'm going to read you your Miranda warning.
Yes, sir.
Okay? You have the right to remain silent and not make any statement at all, and any statement you make will be used against you at your trial. Any statement you make may be used as evidence against you. You have the right to have a lawyer present to advise you prior to and during any questioning. If you are unable to employ a lawyer, you have the right to have a lawyer appointed to advise you prior to and during any questioning. And you have the right to terminate this interview at any time. Okay, now I'm going to ask you these other questions here. Do you knowingly, intelligently, and voluntarily waive these rights and wish to speak to me now and answer some questions that I have about this case?
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right, good deal. Like I said, and your attorney's just informed me, this is a microphone, this is being recorded. I have a list of some questions that we're gonna make sure that we need to get answered, but we're gonna discuss this case. I'm sure that we're gonna be here for quite some time, and like I said, I wanna make sure that if at any point you need a break, you need to go to the bathroom or whatever, because if we need to, we're gonna take a little break. All right, so you let me know if you have a bathroom break or something.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
One concern I have is sometimes with the ankle bracelets, if we're going to be sitting here a long time, being so big and the way my circulation is,
Sure.
I sometimes would cross my legs,
Okay.
to break so I don't have
I'll
palm
tell you
posts or
what, I
anything.
don't have a problem with removing those.
Left ear's bad ear.
Okay, all right.
But that's why I didn't know if I was supposed to look over here or talk here. I'll be glad to do it.
No, you're fine just like that. We're gonna go ahead and take those off, that way you can be comfortable.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Detective.
You're welcome. So. All right, man, here you go. right, Dave. You and I have never met. I'd like for you to tell me just a little bit about you. You know, I have a couple of questions. Where are you from?
Amarillo.
Amarillo? Were you born and raised there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How old are you right now?
51 and a half.
You have family there in Amarillo? Wife?
Ex.
Okay. What's her name? She's still living there in Amarillo?
Yes.
Okay. Let me ask you, what is your profession? What do you do for a living? What have you done?
For the last 8 to 10 years, I was in pharmaceutical sales. I was in the process of developing a medical services company.
Oh, okay. That's pretty much what you've done all your...
For the last 10 years, been in house construction, sold insurance. For the most part, after college, I was a mortgage note broker in the secondary market.
Pretty good business, pharmaceutical sales.
Unbelievable.
I always heard that was a pretty good deal. Let's get to the part here, and I'm going to tell you something. One of the things that I'd like to get right off the bat, because I have some people standing by, to go over this phone that we have that belongs to you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and in case we have questions about that.
Yes, sir.
So that's one of the first things that I like to do. And from what I understand, it has a passcode that
Yes,
you
sir.
need to have to get in it. Can you give me that, please?
Yes, sir.
What is it? Is it a pattern?
It's a panel. You have to do a design on it.
Okay, if that were, look at
May
that
I
right
draw it on here?
there. Yes, sir, if you don't mind.
May I stand up?
Sure, stand up. There's a marker right there.
This is a good representation. Lower left, starting to the top, across, down to the center. That's the password.
Okay. All right.
Can you read it, understand?
Yeah, yes. What kind of phone is that? Do you remember?
It's a Sprint. I'm trying to think of the name of it. Evo 3 or 4.
All right. I'd like for you to tell me how it is that you ended up meeting up with Dr. Dixon, Michael Dixon.
2 or 3 years ago, we were at a smoke shop, maybe 4 years ago. Actually called the smoke shop it was in Western Plaza at the time, right there on Hobbs. And smoking cigars is a very sociable thing. And we just connected and hooked up, started having friends. I left pharmaceuticals, had another business opportunity, asked him about it, got back into pharmaceuticals for a couple of more years after that.
So y'all just happened to meet up in the cigar shop?
That's it, and kind of had a connection.
Okay.
It's just progressed since then.
All right. And you said that was about 3 or 4 years ago?
This is my best recollection.
Okay. And tell me about y'all's relationship, how it evolved as far as did y'all start hanging out once a week or?
What pretty much happened is we ended up seeing each other. Saw several guys, and he's quick-witted. I'm kind of a sassy, smart-ass, and we just kind of hit it off, did that kind of stuff. I went to his spa. He owns Sensei Med Spa, and I was there once getting a manicure and pedicure, being in sales, keep your hands looking good. And he came by, and I knew he owned it, and he came by, and he goes, Dave, I didn't know you were going to be here. And he goes, I brought something for you. He just got back from Amsterdam. And so he ran home and brought me some little cigars that were made from a cigar shop there in Amsterdam. It's 100 years old. And when he did that, well, then all the girls there realized that I'm a VIP because I'm a friend of the boss, and he just left to go home to bring me cigars from Amsterdam. And it was pretty nice. And then I said, well, let me take you out and get a drink. And then we just gradually watched a football game, smoked a cigar, and realized that, it's hard for older guys to have that social connection where it's not all the time doing that kind of stuff. It developed more seriously probably about 2 years ago, 2.5, maybe 3. What do you think now? Best recollection. Probably close to 3 years ago. I was having marital problems. Found out he was having the same thing around March, I think it was April 2010. I just called him and said, I got bad news. He goes, what? I said, my wife just told me yesterday she wanted a divorce. He goes, I got served last week. Kind of both doing the same thing. Both moving out. Ended up hanging out more. That's why we started seeing more of each other. Sure. I mean, we'd go out and have a drink, have a cigar. All our other friends were married. So it came to where like, hey, let's go to Buffalo Wild Wings and get a toddy.
Okay. So y'all talked a lot about your personal lives to each other?
Yes, sir. So, somewhat, like gentlemen do.
Yeah, as far as like going through the divorce.
Oh, sure.
Okay. So, did he pretty much keep you informed about his relationships after he got divorced?
I don't know to what extent he kept me informed. I know of some of the relationships and some aspects of it, but I don't know how exclusive that was. I never met all his girlfriends. I knew he was seeing a lot of girls, but I don't know to what extent my knowledge is.
Let me ask you this. When was the first time that he ever mentioned to you this?
I met her in October. My best estimate is September, October. He had just closed on it. He had rented a house on Timber Creek. Once his divorce was final, he closed on it, bought it, and they invited me out, and he made pizza on the grill, and I met her there. I knew he was dating her before that because he showed me a picture. So I met her the one time. It seemed like it was in the fall.
Tell me what he told you about her. I mean, just about this new relationship he had or whatever.
She's around 49, 50 years old, smoking hot, looks younger than she was, seemed to be a former professional cheerleader. I don't know if it's Atlanta Falcons or Atlanta Braves, I don't know, something like that. Thought she was great. She was in info, they kind of got a little crazy and stuff, and said that she was kind of bipolar sometimes, depending on what kind of mood she was in. So, and then later, when they broke up, he said she was crazy, he used some colorful words.
Did he ever mention how he met her?
No.
Oh.
Hold on. He met a lot of women through Match.com, through it online. I don't know if she was one of them or not. I can't say. That's guess.
So he had a Match.com account?
I believe it was Match.
And when you met her, tell me what you thought about her.
I thought his first impression was right because she was very attractive, very polite, very friendly to me. I liked her a lot. I mean, I didn't see she was nuts or crazy or rude or bitchy. I could see where she could be, but she was very friendly to me at all. And I thought she was just lovely. I thought she was just a sweetheart. Yeah. And I'd only met her the one time at his house. So we had pizza. I was probably there an hour and a half, 2 hours, had a couple of scotches, had a cigar out by the patio, and that was it.
And that was the only time you'd ever met her or seen her in person?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So if that was in September or October of this last year, correct? Because we're in October.
11.
Yeah.
So of 11 last year.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Okay. All right.
So, it was in the fall. It's
sure. In that time span of September,
August, October,
yeah.
something there.
Okay. So, how long? Do you recall how long he dated her, or before they started having? Did they have some kind of problem, or what happened?
I don't know why they broke up. It seemed like they were dating, I'd say, 3 to 6 months. I don't know exactly when he started, but it seemed like at least 3 to 6 months. I know he was dating some at the end of the summer, and it was in the fall when we had that, because I know it was past summer, because I wanted to invite to his new pool, and he never did. So it was pretty much after the pool season, and then hung out.
And did he tell you that he was having problems as far as the relationship with her?
It wasn't, he didn't disclose that to me.
And at some point, did he end the relationship with her?
He mentioned it later, like in 2012, January, February, because he was seeing another girl. And I asked, what happened to belong Cutie, the cheerleader? I think is what I asked. What happened to the cheerleader? He goes, she turned nuts on me. Because I hadn't seen her since, I can't remember if it seemed like it was like October when he said that. That's why I'm thinking it may have been September when I met her.
Who was the new woman that he started seeing?
He's been seeing a girl named, she's probably 23 to 25. And he told me she was a med student. And I met her several times. She's a real sweetheart. She's a real nice girl.
You actually met her?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Tell me this, when did you first find out about Dr. Saunier, the one here from Lubbock?
It seemed like my best estimate would be February, March of 2012.
And tell me how it was that you came to find out about him, anything about him, that even existed.
He asked me if I knew of a girl in Lubbock that would mind making $1,000 to cause a problem. And he pretty much wanted to break up Dr. Sonia with my impression that he wanted to cause her discomfort. And he was asking me if I knew somebody that would pretend to be like a sugar baby of Dr. Sonia and then meet him someplace we're not supposed to and just tell a big fabrication and sort of, because he goes, that will mess with her up. The way her brain works intellectually, just the appearance that this guy might have something on the side, his words, excuse me, will fuck her up. And then he goes, that's what I want. He goes, I'll pay her $1,000. He goes, I'll pay her money just to do it, but if they break her up, it's $1,000.
And was that the first time anything like that had been discussed?
Yes, sir. In my presence, yes, sir.
And what did you think about that?
He mentioned that he wanted to cause her a problem because he left his wife for her. You know, she broke up his marriage, and I knew they'd had some problems with his ex-wife and her on the phone and cussing back and forth and sending text messages, and he just wanted to, I guess, pay back.
And was that the first time that he'd ever brought a subject like that up as far as
yes, sir.
To mess with
yes,
anybody?
Sir. Yes, sir.
And what was your response to that?
I was beating my head as if I knew somebody, and I thought, well, I don't know. I said, I know a couple of girls that are like partiers, and they might let me give them a call. You know, help a buddy. I said, yeah, I'm going to give them a call. And they weren't interested. One of the girls was in Amarillo, was a stripper, and I said, you know, for $1,000, those girls will do almost anything if it doesn't do anything. And they kind of took a pass.
So basically, you told him you checked and see if
he was with me. And I said, he goes, well, call him. So I pulled my phone and texted him while he was with me. I didn't do it on the side when he wasn't around. It was voice when he was present.
When he was right there. Can you give me the name of one of the strippers that you called?
The only one was a stripper. The girl in Amarillo, she dances by Lee, but her real name is, she's blonde and she works at Cassidy's. Been there for several years. And her number is on my cell phone.
Okay.
And the text messages maybe is still there as well.
You text message with her?
I did a couple of times.
About that specific?
I'd have to refresh my memory, sir.
Okay.
I don't want to.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so let me ask you this: when that didn't pan out, what did he think about that? What did he say?
The next step in my recollection, thinking back on this, is that he was saying, well, I'd just like to cause him some problems because then it would, maybe he would get away from her. And I said, why do you want to hurt him? Why, if you're going to do that, why don't you just hurt her? and I gave him some suggestions. And he goes, I wouldn't, he didn't like the suggestions I gave. And then I said, well, if you're trying to hurt the guy, I said, the only thing I could think of would be a random act of violence, something, where he's out dinner or something like that. And he goes, yeah, but I don't want to, I don't know if I could do that. He didn't know if he could do that. Come down here, I don't know where he's at and that kind of stuff.
Let me ask you this, what were the suggestions that you gave him?
I gave him one suggestion to go to an adult bookstore and buy the most obscene, nastiest man-boy love association book he could and buy him a subscription and send it to his office. Because I said, that's a gift that'll keep giving. I said, no matter how many times he calls, if it's paid for, it's coming to his office. It will embarrass him, and then you can send a letter and follow up where it comes from, and if you're trying to cause him distress. Sure. And he goes, well, that didn't really affect her. I said, then do something where it goes to her and she's got kids in them. And he goes, well, I like the kids. I don't want to have them see that. So they didn't really like that. And I'm just not very clever.
That's fine. So let's go when you had the discussion about the random act of violence. What else did he say about that, or did y'all discuss that any further?
He liked that idea.
And tell me about what y'all talked about as far as that goes.
He said we have to follow him, have to figure out where he's at, and then follow him, and then try to get a time, in the location where they go on a habit, where there's, a regular occurrence, and that way what his habit is and know where precise time where he might be there, and then you could have a problem, and then you could say, listen, this is, and then blame it on her like as an ex-boyfriend did it. And that would make him not want to do that with her and stay with her.
And did y'all discuss like the specific act?
No, sir. I can't recall that anyway.
Okay. So when y'all discussed that, did y'all plan on like a time frame, or we'll discuss it later, or what was the next step?
This recollection I remember. I'm trying to think exactly how it worked because I didn't really think, keep it in my head. I need to remember this. He had met a lady from Midland and met her in Lubbock. Said they had a hookup. He said he met her on one of these dating websites, and he met here. And I don't know. Thinking back, I'm not sure if that was a real deal or not. But the next week, he goes, "Hey, what are you doing? Let's take a trip to Lubbock." We drove down to Lubbock. And next thing I know, he's on the deal, and he tells me that her paramour, Dr. Sonnier, take these dance classes. And he showed me where the dance class was, where to go. He goes, well, stay back. He goes, what kind of car he had? He knew what kind of car he had. Wrote down the license. He goes, let's follow when they leave. He was already trying to tell me where they go and that kind of stuff. And he goes, hey, can you come down here some? I'll pay for gas, and you could kind of get a pattern of what they're doing.
So he was already here, and
we drove down from Lubbock.
Okay, both of you together?
Yes, in my car. Okay.
And do you know about more or less when the time frame of when that happened?
That's where, it came pretty close, that 2 or 3 weeks ago. I believe that was like in March. If you first mentioned February, it might have been into January, but it's right in there in this 4 or 5 weeks between the end of January and the middle of March. I'm trying to remember when spring break was there. I'm sorry, I just didn't.
That's fine.
I don't want to mislead you what it is, but it's around that area.
And so you and Michael Dixon come here to Lubbock.
We did.
Y'all drove together.
Yes.
In whose vehicle?
Yes, sir.
Whose vehicle was it?
My vehicle.
Yours.
Yes.
Yours. And what type of vehicle did you have?
I had a Dodge Durango, 2005 Dodge Durango, 2-wheel drive, all black.
And when y'all first got here, what was the first place that y'all went?
I'm trying to think. Drove by the country club. He told me she lived at the country club and drove me down the street where she lived. And then we drove around the loop to where the dance class was.
You remember the name of the dance class?
I can tell you where it's at, but I don't know the name of it. I think I can tell you where it's at. You know, it's off of Frankfurt over there by big car dealerships where the Hummer's place used to be. There's a strip center over there on the west side. Just further up the street, like on 66, 68, something like that, there's a church on the corner. So whatever that street is, I'm just drawing a blank.
Okay.
But it's a Labella or something, and they have dance classes.
Do you remember
Ballroom dance classes. Excuse me, ballroom dance.
ballroom dance? Do you remember what day of the week that was? Is it on
Yes.
Thursday?
I can know that it's ballroom youth. It's 2 nights a week. And I can't remember if it was Tuesday, Thursday, or Monday, Wednesday. I'm sorry. I'm trying to think.
It's not that big a deal. I just
Okay.
wondering, I didn't know if it was a weekend or.
No, sir.
It was
No,
not
sir.
a weekend?
No, sir. It was the first 4 days of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's going to be 2 days of those 4.
Okay, all right. So you drive by his house and then y'all go around the loop.
Oh, I didn't know her last name. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you'll go by the country club area where she lives. You go around the loop, go to the dance lessons, ballroom place.
It was between times that things started. It was before 7. It seemed like their lesson started at 7. The car wasn't there. We rode back down 66th or whatever that street is right by the church and go to a Sonic, get a burger, get a Coke, come back around, and we're on a side street. And it's like, then it gets to be close to 7 o'clock. Sure enough, they drive up. He ducks down. I didn't see him. I didn't know what I was looking for, but he ducks down. I guess he knew. And they went right down that street, whatever that street is. We were on the side street, 67, 68, but just north of the dealership.
Okay.
And they went down the street that ran north-south.
Let me ask you this. You were driving?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me ask you this. When you went to Sonic
Yes, sir.
and to get a burger, it's just y'all two in the vehicle?
Pardon me?
Just you two?
Yes,
Both of
sir.
y'all?
Yes, sir.
Who paid?
He did.
He did.
I didn't have any money.
Okay.
I was on unemployment, and he paid for everything. Paid for my gas, paid for my meals.
Do you recall if he paid with cash or a card or by any chance? Do you remember that?
Most of the time when we went out, he paid with his American Express card when we went to Buffalo Wild Wings and those kind of things. But I believe the sign to pay cash. I mean, that comes cash.
Okay. All right. So y'all are there at the dance place and you see them drive up.
Right.
He points them out to you.
Yes.
What kind of vehicle were they in?
In his white Mercedes.
Okay.
And the plate seemed like it was something. I don't know what it was.
All right. And what happens?
He ducked because he didn't want him to see it. I guess maybe I thought saying, I said, well, why would they even see you? Why would they think you'd be here? But I didn't ask. He just ducked. And so they went inside. We watched, had binoculars, go inside. They go inside, and we sit there a while. Later, we drive real close by so he can see them there, see if they're dancing.
And what happened after that? Did y'all stick around there or?
As we pull around the parking lot, pull up behind the car, he gets out and looks in the vehicle just to see what he can see. And then he runs back in and says, let's go. And then we wait till they leave.
So when he gets back in the vehicle, where did y'all go?
Just down toward the end of the street. Close to, there was a semi-trailer park there and we were just down by that because he didn't think they'd be coming back the way they came. They'd be going back by the loop or whatever, that's Frankfurt Highway or
Right.
Littlefield Highway, whatever that highway is.
And so y'all waited there till they came
Yes.
out? Was it still light or was it dark when they
It's
came
dark.
out? It was dark.
9 o'clock, the sun was going down.
And what happened when they came out?
He wanted me to follow him.
Who was driving his vehicle, the doctor's vehicle?
Doctor was.
Okay. Was it just them two in the vehicle?
Yes.
And which way did they go when they came out?
Went south down the side street between the dealership and where the dance place is, got to the loop or wherever that highway is, and then went east. And we followed him until we lost him.
Where about was that?
We're merged into the south loop and then over to the other. Cars got between us. There's a stop sign there. We had to wait, 2 or 3 people, and I didn't see him. We lost him.
All right, and what did y'all do after that?
He drove me by. We went by Dr. Songe's house. He knew where it was. He said, well, let's see if they're there. He drove by the set. Lights were off. And
It didn't look like anybody was home, or
there wasn't. It didn't look like anybody was home.
did y'all stop there?
Hold on a second. May I make an addition?
Sure.
When we first came into Lubbock, we went by her house, and then came down. I don't know how it came down, and then we got off on Quaker, got on 19th. We went by his house, pulled in his driveway, and checked his mailbox to see if he'd been home yet, because it was between 6. If he'd been home yet from dinner, see if they're out. There was a block in the mailbox, but there wasn't anything in there. Closed it, went out, and then we went to the dance club. I'm sorry, I forgot that.
That's fine. That's fine. Who actually checked the mailbox?
He did.
Did he have to get out of the car? Did he just lean over? Or?
I pulled around. If you would normally pull in on the east side of his driveway, going around the back of his house, the mailbox on the east side, I pulled in through the circle drive on the west, and it was on his side.
Okay. All right. And then from there is when y'all went out there to
Yes,
the
sir.
dance place.
Yes, sir.
All right. So y'all come back over to
Just to drive by, see if they were there.
Yeah. And you didn't stop?
No, sir.
Okay. Nobody got out?
No, sir.
Okay. And then where did y'all go from
I think we went down Quaker to 4th Street, got some gas and a Coke, and went back down home.
there? Okay. Let me ask you this. Do you recall the name of the place where y'all got gas?
Gotten gas there several times. It seems like it's a Stripes, or is that what that is? Not a Town and Country. It seems like it's a Stripes.
Okay.
It's off Quaker, right before the North Loop. I mean, I guess that would be the loop on the north side, right there on the corner. There's
Okay.
fields all around us, all around
Right.
there.
Yeah, it's a Stripes there. Who purchased the gas?
I don't recall, sir. I really don't. He paid for it. I don't know if I went in and did it or he did. I really don't know.
Okay. Do you recall if it was cash or a card?
I'm sorry, sir. I don't.
Okay, all right, that's fine. That's all right. And you mentioned you got gas twice?
I think we got gas. I already had some gas. We got Cokes and stuff for the road, and we got in, and then when we left, we got gas.
Okay,
I think I already had gas.
all right. So
I
y'all,
really don't recall on the start whether I just picked him up or what we did.
okay, that's fine. So you gas up there on Quaker at the Stripes, and then what happens after that?
We get on the loop and go to Amarillo.
Okay. About what time did you get back to Amarillo? Do you remember?
It's maybe 10:30 or 11,
Okay.
maybe 11:15.
All right. And getting back into Amarillo, what happened from there?
I believe I took him right to his house. I really don't recall if we went and had a drink after that, any of that, because we talked in the road. I really don't recall what happened. I mean, it wasn't, to me, it was just like I was just kind of going along to get out of town, and
Sure.
I didn't know what was going to develop afterwards. I didn't really pay attention.
So let me ask you this: what was the discussion about the events that had just transpired on the way back to Amarillo? What did y'all talk about?
Well, best recollection is we were just kind of talking how to follow the guy and what their deal is, what their pattern is, and I didn't really get into too much what was going on at that time. I really just didn't really occur to me. I just thought he was, wanted to get out and wanted to see him,
Sure. Okay.
And we were still talking about the girls messing with him at that time.
All right. Did anything transpire with that, as far as getting somebody to make contact with either one of them to mess with him?
I never gave him the contacts number for either the two girls I contacted. I don't know if he contacted anybody else. But the two girls I knew, neither one of them, they kind of took a pass.
Okay.
One of the girls from Amarillo, and she lives here and goes to school here now.
Okay. after the deal, when y'all are here in Lubbock, and you go back, you drop him off at home, can you tell me when's the next time that anything comes up about Dr. Saunier and his girlfriend?
Probably within 1 to 2 weeks. I can't remember if it was the next week, the week after. He asked me if I would come down, and because he couldn't, he had on call or whatever, he couldn't. If I'd come down to see if I could find him and get a route, kind of a pattern, see what they're doing. I said, sure, I'll come down. Buy me some gas, buy me a meal, give me a couple cigars.
And
Did that for 2 or 3 weeks.
okay, let me ask you this: when he asked you that, did he call you and ask you? Did y'all meet up? Did he text you or?
We talked on the phone, we texted a lot, and we met at places and had, beer, and he'd buy me an appetizer and have a cigar several times. I don't know exactly where. I know we talked about it at Buffalo Wild Wings, where he paid for meals with his American Express. That's one of the places we went all the time. And we talked on the phone and we texted. I don't recall. There was more than one conversation that just did.
Sure. Where's the Buffalo Wild Wings located? The one that you specifically that y'all know?
Around 49th or 51th and Coulter, South Coulter. There's only 2 in Amarillo. That's on the southwest part of town. The other one's over by the boulevard. I mean, by the airport. We never went there.
Okay, just the one there on
Yes, sir.
on Coulter.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me ask you this: did he ever text you things about coming to Lubbock or following them or getting
Yes.
a pattern? Y'all text about that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. To this phone that we have.
Yes, but they've been deleted.
Okay. All right. So the next time after y'all were here that he says, hey, I want you to go to Lubbock and develop a pattern or whatever, when was the next time that you came down here for that?
Sir, I don't want to mislead you. I came down so often, from March, April, May, June. There's so many times. I couldn't tell you the exact days.
Can you give me an idea, like, are we talking once a week, every other week, how many times a month?
There might be a couple of weeks where I didn't make any trips, just a couple. Most time, at least once, sometimes 2, and even sometimes 3 times.
Per week?
Yes, sir.
And would he give you money up front?
Yes, sir. Give me cash money for gas, normally $100 to $150, something like that.
And tell me, since you were doing it that often, did you have like a set pattern as far as you get here, where you go check first, or what you do?
It developed into a pattern, yes, sir.
Can you tell me what that pattern was?
We first started out, I didn't know where they would get off work. I didn't know where his office was. So we started at the dance club. And if I didn't see her van, he described what it was, or his car, I would make passes around their houses to see if I could see lights or see either one of them there. He even had me a couple of times drive unbelievable amount of miles in Lubbock to check all the restaurants, and he would text me, well, have you tried this one and tried this one and tried this one, and I'd go around and see if the car was there. He was trying to develop a pattern where they would go out to eat all the time. And his thing was he knew they were out because he said that she required a lot of hand holding. She required a lot of attention. So they're out someplace.
So you would keep him updated on where you were at or what was going on?
Daily. When I was here, what's the next plan of action? He was always asking, I think we ought to do this.
Did you ever ask him why are we doing this? Why are we getting all this pattern, this information?
A couple of times I said, why don't you just, you're dating Ashley, just forget about her. He goes, wow, no, she's in my marriage, I want to talk to her about her. And I said, well, okay, he's paying for it. I'm getting some gas. He's going to be my business partner, and I needed him. And I wish I would have done more. You just don't know how I wish I would have put things together and done better. I should have.
At what point did y'all discuss the business part of it, where he could probably be your business partner?
We'd already been working on that for over a year. We already had a corporation. He was a member. We already issued stock. I had a third person come in and put in some money, and we were in the process of developing that. We'd already had it before. I mean, we were doing that while he was dating. I think we incorporated in April of 2011. But we'd been working on it for about 6 or 8 months before that.
Had he invested some money?
He had put in, he hadn't given me cash money for the business. We had somebody else do that, but he would give me gas money. His investment with meals. His office manager recently had come from Allergy Arts, I believe, in Amarillo, an allergy clinic. So she knew codes and all that kind of stuff. And I met with her several times, and we'd go to Chili's, and he would pay for our meals and our discussions as I was getting the research to start this company. So I would say a little bit of money here, a few $100s here and there.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Let's get back to when you were coming down here on a regular basis to get a pattern on them.
Yes, sir.
Were there times when you did encounter them or find them and follow them? Or?
Yes, sir. On one occasion from the dance club, I found them, followed them out. They were both in their both cars, and they went separate directions. I was going to follow him so I could get his deal, find where he was going. She went around on the loop to where she would go home, and he ended up getting off on the Slider, the Quaker. I'm trying to make the Quaker. And so I was trying to get on the loop, and then I saw his car and it was off. So I just tried to speed up, and then I ended up catching her van. I believe it was hers, right before she got to the country club, or Yucca Street exit.
And what became of that?
I just noted the time and told him they split up and I didn't catch it. There's a car between us.
And were there other occasions when you actually
That was pretty much the only time I ever saw him.
Okay.
I'd been by his house at one time in the afternoon, changing the deal to see if we could catch him off work, and I saw her go by and check his mail. I saw her a couple of times drive into the country club, down. He used to call a doctor over there, and he lived at Canyon Drive, Canyon Crest, Canyon Road, where she lived on something
right
there, and I saw her a couple of times. But out, no, I never saw him out. Never saw him at dinner, never.
So once you develop this pattern about, you knew about the dance place or whatever in their houses, and you said you only encountered them once, where you actually saw them. Did it, at what point did it change? Did it ever change? Did he request you do something else?
He wanted me to go earlier so I could try to catch her, maybe even like in the mid-afternoon, catch her when she's from the school. And I can't remember the school where kids are, so I could follow her from, she actually picked up her kids and when she left the house. I had watched her house occasionally instead of watching his because we never could see him go there. And so we watched her house if I could follow her when they go to dinner, because if he didn't come, then she would go to him and I could follow her out. I saw her once leave her house and I lost her before she got there. She got out.
Now, when you would set up, would you go stationary when you were watching her house, or were you just mobile all the time?
Both, sir.
Okay.
A couple of times I stopped at I was actually in the country club in the parking lot. There's one side over there with my binoculars. I could see it in her driveway. Saw her one out there raking leaves, cleaning that kind of stuff, reporting into Dixon. My whole thing was after spending enough money doing this, he would get tired because nothing's going to, and it just kept progressing more and more belligerent.
Okay. Did you ever have an encounter with anybody? I know that sometimes the police get called, hey, there's a suspicious car parked over here.
I think someone took my place once at the country club. They pulled over right behind me because I've been there a couple of hours. They saw me in the binoculars and he pulled behind me. And then I didn't spot at her house anymore.
Okay. After that?
That was it.
Was it just a civilian, you think?
Yes. I think it was somebody in the country club member.
Okay.
Just saw me. The guy parked away from everybody else, binoculars.
Yeah. That happens a lot, and that's why I was asking if anybody had ever approached anybody.
I saw once early in the morning, he had me As things progressed, he wanted more thing, catch him before he goes to work, because it wasn't working out. Didn't see him at the dance classes anymore. I think they finished. So that wouldn't work because we had to go in the afternoon. Then he wanted me to stay the night. He'd pay for the hotel and come in and catch him when he left in the morning. I'm trying to think of the street right by Dr. Sonia's house, not 21st, but it runs just west. Is that Toledo? Or Topeka? Is it Toledo? I don't remember.
I think it's Topeka.
Topeka. Which one's on one side, one's on the other.
Right.
Whatever's on the east side.
Okay, Toledo.
After breakfast one morning, I got there early. I was parked on the side street so I could watch 21st when he came out to go to work. And there's a couple that came out in their house room and stuff with coffee, and they noticed me sitting up. And I don't know if they wrote down flag, but other than that, I don't think anybody ever made me.
And you were always in your vehicle?
Yes, sir.
All right. So was there a time that you did stay here overnight at a hotel?
Yes, sir.
And
Twice, I believe.
Can you tell me the name of the hotel where you stayed at?
It seemed like there was a Comfort Suites on the South Loop near Quaker and Slide. I don't know exactly if it's Slide or Quaker.
Okay.
I stayed there, paid cash, registered my name. Tried another time, but they were booked, and I ended up having to stay at Overton. My name, paid cash. Probably a week or two apart. One of those times, I'm trying to think.
And both of those times that you registered under your name?
Yes, sir.
And you paid cash?
Yes, sir.
This money that you were coming into...
Mike paid for those. He would give me the money before I went.
Okay.
David, I want you to let him finish his question. Okay, you're doing fine.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's all right. On those times, it was pre-planned that you were going to stay the night?
Yes.
Tell me how things progressed from there. What happened?
He required me to, when I was going, spend more and more time by Dr. Sonia's house to try to pick him up and what his habits are from the morning and then the afternoon. Lunchtime, afternoon.
Did you ever go to Sonia's workplace?
Yes. Drove by the Covenant Hospital. I don't know exactly which entrance was his, but looked at the parking lots what I could have tried to locate his car. Yes, sir.
Did you ever park and go in?
No, sir.
To look? Okay. At what point did this thing go, okay, did you ever ask Michael Dixon, what are we doing here? What's the next course of action? What's going to happen?
I don't recall if I ever asked what the next course. Conversation came up. We were at a club in Amarillo, having a cigar and drinking, and something came up, and somebody said something, well, about pranks, how you could get somebody, and somebody volunteered. They said, well, just go behind him when he's not paying attention, hit him on the board, hit him with a board. I said, you could probably kill him. And Doc went like that. We'll talk about that later. And that was
Is that what that means?
he said, he told me, we'll talk about that later. Somebody brought that up. He said, if you want to mess with a guy, just walk behind and hit him with a board. Leave. And I told him, well, if I could kill the guy. And we'll talk about that later.
What club were y'all at?
Butler's.
Butler's?
Martini Bar on Polk Street.
And were y'all sitting at the bar? Were
No,
you
sir.
At a table?
He was on the couch in the corner, and I was nearby. I just got a drink, and I was standing up when that conversation took place.
Was there somebody there with y'all?
We were talking about 2 or 3 things. I couldn't tell you who they were. It's just in passing. We had conversations all the time.
You said, somebody said, hey, well, you could go by and hit him with a board. I'm thinking somebody was there being part of y'all's conversation.
He was standing with us and we were just joking about pranks, and I said, for a pilot friend of mine, and I believe it's Michael that said, "Look, you can email the board." I'm not sure if that was him or somebody else, because somebody else just came in and.
So this guy's name is, and he's a pilot.
Yes, sir.
Is he from there, from Amarillo?
He lives in Amarillo. He's not from Amarillo.
So what happens after you get the deal from Michael Dixon? Was there any more discussion as far as that there in the club?
No, sir.
Do you have any idea, like, time frame when that first came up?
It seemed like it was in the same time frame we were doing the research. When I was starting to go down there to the dance club before we found out we couldn't find him. It seemed like it was April. Sorry, I'm just giving the best guess.
Right, sure, I understand. So what happens after you leave the club that specific night? Did you get that, we'll talk about that later. Did y'all discuss it later?
Not that night, no, sir.
When was the next time that there was a discussion about that?
I don't know if it was the next day or a couple of 3 days. I believe we met and watched, some sports at Buffalo Wild Wings or Hummers. I don't know exactly where it was. And he was ready to do that. He was in the impression, he knew I was in the Army and I would sign up for unassigned special forces, and I'd gone through some certain training, and he thought I might be able to interested to do that. And I knew another friend that was a Green Beret. Maybe we get him to do it. And I said, well, Mike, you're going to have to pay a lot of money for someone to do that, and I don't think Paul would do that. And I said, I know somebody, but I don't know anybody. And conversations kept going. I said, well, if you're going to do that, you need to buy some gold and some silver or something like that. So when you buy some gold coins, because if you're going to pay somebody so you don't have withdrawals from your account, you can give them gold and they can cash them in as they want, and they'll never know it's $1,600 whack. They can give them 10 of those things, 15, 20 of those, whatever it is, and they do it. He goes, I got 300 ounce bars of silver. I said, well, how much is silver worth? He goes, it's $30 an ounce. That's $10,000. And I said, well, that's where the silver came from.
He said he already had it?
He did. He said he had hidden it from his wife. He has other stuff. He buys gold and stuff. We've been at an auction with a friend of mine who passed, and he bought some gold coins and some gold watches and other stuff. He keeps that, and he has cash.
So when that conversation came up, and this, okay, was there a specific act that he was wanting done? Was that what y'all were discussing?
Yes.
And what was that?
He wanted to be hurt, and then it gradually developed into having him killed.
And
I'm sorry, I really have a hard time saying these words,
Sure,
but I'm trying to tell you the best I can.
I understand. Was it at that meeting that he brought up about not, as far as, we're talking about hurting somebody and then killing somebody. Was it at two separate meetings, or was it that one meeting?
Sir, the meetings seem to run in my head together. We met so many times. I don't have a recollection exactly which meeting it came to, because I thought he was blowing smoke.
Sure.
People do that. I'm like, it's crazy. It's wild. People don't think that way. They don't talk that way. And it just got really, then it gradually progressed to where it's serious.
Tell me what he said that made you think, hey, this is really serious. He's serious about this. What was that conversation like?
I think as the trailing and trying to get the things, it got to be more and more, and it just kind of, like a tornado, it just kind of sucks you in to when'd you go to work, where'd you go to lunch, when'd you come in, what's a pattern? He gave me a gun. I didn't have any weapons. He gave me a gun. And wanted to know exactly where everything was going on. And it just got to where it was almost a daily, what's the next plan? What do we do now?
Okay. Let me ask you this. Before the gun, tell me how he told you or how y'all discussed killing Dr. Saunier. What was that conversation? Tell me about that conversation.
Initially, he wanted somebody to break in his house to make it look like, just a home invasion or robbery. There had been some in Lubbock, it seemed like I recall. And he had watched the news and he thought that may be something we could, do something like that.
And you're talking about breaking into Saunier's house.
While he's there or when he comes home. He also wanted to embarrass himself and be in such a way that would embarrass her. And one of the things he had talked about was going in there and make it look like he committed suicide or in an act of autoerotica, ended up killing himself by accident. And that's what he really wanted to do. And I thought that was pretty out there.
Did y'all discuss the specifics about that?
Yes.
Tell me about that conversation.
I don't know exactly the conversation. I can tell you what developed from those conversations because there's so many of them.
Okay.
Wanted a padded cushion, something around his neck, or me knowing how to cut off the carotid artery with the forearm, put him in such a place to where he was unconscious, pull his pants down, make it look like he was masturbating, and then go ahead and close it off. He went ahead and died. Something around his head looked like he strangled himself, like a doorknob or a door, because as soon as he died, he was going to, defecate, and he knew that he would relieve himself as soon as someone's killed. Conversations were taken on place about how to do that where he wouldn't be able to grab DNA or scratch you or fight. And that's where the gun came in, because if he sees a gun in his face or behind his head, he's going to do what you say because you're going to blow his head off if you don't. And you can control him that way.
So was there a discussion about producing a gun and then he brought it, or did he just bring it?
There was a discussion. I said, well, if I could do that, I said, well, I don't have a weapon anymore. I haven't had one for 12, 15 years. And then he brought me a gun.
Tell me about the gun.
It was a little beat up 25 automatic. I could barely put my finger in it. And it was tiny, kind of bronze colored. Said he got it from his brother, and that it was totally clean. At that point,
did you ever check it for a serial number?
there was one on it.
Did it have ammunition?
He brought me ammunition. Had one clip.
Okay. How much ammunition?
What he brought me was a plastic holder of bullets that you would buy, a little thing of it, and there were maybe 8 or 10 of them that were gone. I don't know how many were in the thing, 20, 15 to 30, I don't know, sir.
Did you ever ask him where the ammo came from? Did he just go out and buy it, or?
Said he had it from his brother, and it wasn't new.
Okay. It wasn't new. So at the point that he brought the gun, had there already a decision had been made between y'all to actually do something?
I don't recall it being actually a decision. It was more of an implication or implied, we're going down this road. I asked him, you sure you want to do this, Mike? I said, have you ever, when you kill somebody, that'll affect you from the rest of your life. You'll have nightmares, it'll bother you. He goes, doesn't bother me. And he,
And after he brings you the gun, was there any other weapons?
he only brought me the gun.
Just that one.
Yes, sir.
What happened after that, after you get the gun?
I'm not sure I know what you're asking exactly. What?
What was the next course of action as far as this? Did you still come down here to do follow
Yes, sir.
them, or?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The gun, the autoerotica, all those discussions were taking place as I was doing the pattern, following them. All those things just get kind of developed in the process from March through June, as following them. I don't know exactly the dates.
All right. Where were you when he produced the gun?
I really don't have a recollection.
That's okay.
I really don't. It could have been in the parking lot of Buffalo Wild Wings. Could have been at a convenience store. Could have been by his office. I really don't remember, sir.
Did you maintain possession of it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So you're still coming down here, still setting up the pattern as far as with their pattern,
Yes, sir.
and tell me what evolves from there. What's the next thing, significant thing that happens?
Pictures of the house, backyard, recon work, points of egress, during conversations, information's volunteered, time frames, things he had discovered about the house, about people next door, because they had a pool, time they're going to be outside, how loud the gun's going to be. Those discussions took place.
And where did most of those discussions take place?
I would believe most of them would be in Buffalo Wild Wings. That's where we spent most of the time, watching games and having a beer.
All right. So it evolved to the point that you were not just driving by the houses, you were actually going back there and doing recon work?
Yes, sir.
Okay. At both their houses?
I would drive by her house. I never got out of the car, except for one time. I went by his house several times.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about the time that you got out at her house. What was the purpose of that?
It was, I believe, in June. Later, there was nobody at his house who could do it. He knew she was in town because of how he was following her on Facebook, even though they weren't friends. They had mutual friends that were, so he could keep track of what she was posting by what that was doing. It was raining, storming. I pulled into her driveway and looked into her kitchen dining room window right there by her garage doors. He wanted me to look in the garage to see if his car was there. Because it would rain, they wouldn't see my lights and that kind of stuff. Her windows are opaque in there, they're plastic and opaque, you couldn't see in. But I looked in the window there and I could not locate them.
All right. And so when you went to his house, tell me about getting out and actually going back there to do the recon.
Don't know exactly the first time I'd done it. I took a picture. I've destroyed it since then. Parked in the alley. It was dark. It was late. My car was facing west. I pulled just west of the dumpster right by his fence. Entered the backyard. Opened the gate. Took a picture, closed the gate, and left. So I could see what the picture looked like.
And what did you take the picture with?
Nikon Super Shot, small little camera. It was on my desk in my apartment when I was arrested.
And what did you do with that picture?
Never developed it, just looked at it, showed him.
On the camera screen?
Yes, on the little digital camera screen. Obviously, trying to see security systems, cameras, lights, motion detectors, looking for things of that nature.
So y'all pretty much evaluated the picture to see.
Tried. It wasn't good enough.
Were there other times that you went into the backyard?
Yes, sir.
All right. Tell me about some of those, like what was the purpose and what came about that?
As this plan developed between Mike and me, plan was laid out. The best way to carry forth his objective was to stake out in his backyard, wait for him to come home. Rushing into the garage, scare him to where you can control him, and then either, strangling, autoerotica, or whatever it did. Several occasions I was sat in the backyard watching, waiting for him to come home.
And those times, where would you park your vehicle?
There were many times I could have parked and chose not to, hoping Mike would forget about this deal. Most of the times, every time, because of the construction on Toledo, the west side, behind his house, they were doing yard work, and there were people there all the time from 5 till 6 o'clock. I parked on the east street, Topeka, if that's what that street is, where there's construction on the house, on the property, on the street directly behind 21st. I don't know what street that is. I would park there, walk down the alley.
All right. So there were several times that you were back there and nothing ever happened?
6 or 7, I believe, sir.
And would you stay there all night?
Normally about an hour, hour and a half. Once 2 hours to 2.5, except for the final night.
And during those times, were you still keeping him updated?
Yes, sir.
And how would you do that?
Most of the time texting, occasionally on the phone.
Actually talking?
Yes, sir.
And tell me about, let's talk about the actual day that this happened.
Yes, sir. I believe it was a Tuesday.
Okay. How long had you been in Lubbock? Did you come here that day? Just kind of run it down for me.
We came that afternoon. I think I arrived around 4:30. They were still working on the property, Toledo and 20th, I guess, or 22nd. Drove around, parked right around 5 o'clock. Topeka, on the 22nd side, on that where they just finished some construction. Hugged the fence down the alley and entered his backyard. Pulled a chair from his dining room, from his outdoor dining table. He has a curved brick fence by his driveway. On the west side, there's a tree by that fence, and I'd sit underneath there. There's a gate right there, so I could hear. I was hoping I would hear when he came in. I sat in that chair.
Was it daylight or was it dark when you?
Daylight.
Still daylight?
The whole time.
And how long were you there before anything happened?
2 hours and 45 minutes.
And were you still having contact with Michael Dixon during that time?
Yes, sir.
Did you have contact with anybody else during that time?
I don't believe so, sir. I'm trying to recollect. I don't believe
Yeah,
so.
that's fine. I was just wondering. I didn't know, so I was just asking.
It could be a possibility. I don't believe so.
Okay, fine. So tell me what happens after a couple of hours there.
Around 7:45, I'm trying to get out of there. This is probably going to be one of my last trips. Spent more time there that time than anything. Mike was encouraging, keep the faith, be patient, you'll be there eventually. I just get through texting him or talking to him on the phone. There's a knock on the window. I'm hard of hearing. I never heard him drive up. I have a bandana on, glasses, bandana on, shorts, and I have my bag. In the bag is a gun with a great bottle on the tip of it, a pair of gloves, a knife, and a belt. I have gloves on this hand. My phone is in this hand. I'm about to put it in my pocket when I hear the knock on the window. I wave at Dr. Saunier and get up. My other glove's in this hand, but it's not on because I can't use my phone with the glove. And I walk to the window, and he's lowered the window about this far from the top down.
And what happens when you walk up to the window? Did he say anything to you?
No, sir. I pull the gun out of the bag with the carry on it. I believe it's carry. My hand in my phone. Pull it up to the window to scare him.
And this is still daylight outside?
Yes, sir. 7:45.
Okay.
Within 10 minutes of 7:45.
Had you seen him come up to the window?
No, sir.
Or that was the first time you realized he was there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what happens at that point?
I point the weapon with the bottle at him. Discharges several times. After 3 or 4 discharges, he's stepping away. He's from me to this gentleman, maybe a little further, facing me. He's backing away. He trips on his feet, falls to the ground. My glasses are fogging up. I can't see. I pull the bandana off, and it throws my glasses through the window into the house. My hand is inside the house. I am in the patio. Gun discharges a couple more times. He's running across to I believe, the garage.
Did he ever say anything?
I don't recall so. I don't believe so, sir.
Did you ever say anything to him that you recall?
My recollection, sir, is I yelled at him to freeze, stay still, before the first gun discharged.
So he runs down that hallway. Is he out of sight from you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what happens? What do you do next?
I push the window in. I don't know if he's going for a gun. I don't know if I've ever hit him. I don't know what's happening. But I know my glasses are inside his house. And they'll have my fingerprints. So I push in the window and crawl in. Go around the corner to search for him, to make sure he doesn't have a gun and I can protect myself. I have no bullets in my cards because it's opened.
So you crawled in, did any of the
There's no
glass
problem,
break?
sir. I pushed the window in and stepped over it.
Okay, you stepped over it. And did you pick up your glasses?
Afterward.
Okay. So you're in, and you have an empty gun.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember how many rounds you actually had in the gun?
Sir, I believe it's 6 or 7.
Okay. And what happens when you go in there? What happens?
I pretty much run around the corner as fast as I can so I can intercept him if he has the weapon and he's going to come after me. As I turn around down the hallway, right into the garage, he's laying on the floor, not moving, not breathing, nothing. I check his pulse in his neck. He's dead. I go back in the house, look for my glasses, looking out the window. They're in the corner to the left. The left lens is pushed out of them, and it's on the ground. I noticed the Gatorade bottle, when it popped off, when I pulled the weapon in, it fell over to looking into the right side. I got my glasses, put them in the bag. Go back out there. Understand this happens in a fraction of a couple of seconds. Excuse me.
Let me ask you, did you pick up your lens from your
Yes, sir.
glasses?
This pair of glasses and this lens.
Oh, okay. All right. But they had come apart?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So you're able to recover your glasses, you put them in your bag, and what happens?
Go back to the garage. Check his back pocket. There's a phone in it. Put it back. Didn't see a wallet. Double check for a pulse. The blood is running on the garage floor underneath his chest on the left side. And to cover my crime, I pull a knife out of my bag and I stab him in vital organs 2 or 3, 4 times. The car, white Mercedes, is closest to Dr. Sonia on the ground, toward the west. There's a sport utility on the other side, Lexus, Infinities, I'm not sure when. That garage door is open. I reach above the Infinity or the Lexus, whatever the vehicle is, unlatch the garage door opener, step outside, close the garage door, retreat. Excuse me.
That's all right. Take your time.
Through the gate, by the patio, my bandana, I dip in the fountain that's there. I had blood on my hand, on my arm, where I scraped them, I guess, on the window. It was found its way in my pocket. I moved the chair back to the outdoor table, wipe off where I'd been sitting because I'd been sweating, it was hot, with the bandana, and I exit the way I came, through the back gate, through the alley, and got back in my car.
Did you take any pictures when this happened?
No, sir. With the exception, prior to him arriving there, I had taken a picture on my camera phone.
On this phone that we have?
It's been deleted. All of those pictures have been deleted.
Okay. And what was that picture of?
Me, a reflection of me in the window,
Okay.
sitting in the chair. My location.
And did you send that?
No, sir. It's deleted. I don't recall I ever sent any pictures of his location.
Okay. So you get back in your vehicle. You go back to your vehicle,
Yes,
the black Durango,
Yes, sir.
and did you make any phone calls after that happened?
Yes, sir. I called Mike, Dr. Dixon, asked him what he was doing. He said he was about to go to dinner. I said, that's perfect. You need to be seen. The balloon is busted here. He quickly got off the phone with me. I drove down quicker to the loop, got off on Q, down Q to a side street, switched my tags on my car, got back in there, went down Q, Q to Ernest, or it's
Erskine?
Erston. Went down Erston to University. And set north on University to a farm to market road near way north of Lubbock. There's a small New Deal, near New Deal. Took a ride on that farm to market road. 5196, 21, I don't know what it is, to I-27, and came right down wrong.
Now, you mentioned switching license plate on your vehicle.
Yes, sir.
Had you put different ones before you came, or
When I got to Lubbock.
did you already have some extra ones in your vehicle, or?
I had some from a friend. I was behind in my car payments several months before, and I was fearful of a repossession. I had a handicap placard I could cover my VIN number for my apartment complex, and with the plates they couldn't take my car. There was 2 or 3 Durangos there.
So my question is, did you change your license plates specifically to come to Lubbock for this, or you had already done that to avoid the repossession?
I changed it specifically for this action.
And what happened with the plates that you switched out?
Once I put my plates back on, at a later time, I discarded those plates,
How did you discard them?
threw them in the trash. In Amarillo, I believe.
So when you go back to Amarillo, excuse me, did you have any more contact by phone with anyone on your way back?
I don't believe so, sir, except for another call from Mr. Dixon.
And what was that call about? Was that from you to him or him to you?
Me to him, I believe. It's arriving in Amarillo. Just going to go have a drink, have a cigar. He's sane. Wanted to know if he wanted to meet me. It's 9:30 or 10 o'clock. I was already in Amarillo, past the cutoff that would be to his house. He asked me to come to his house. He had something for me.
Okay.
I go to his house. He gives me the other 2 bars of silver. I and a box of Cuban cigars. 5 Cuban cigars, and he had bought me on a recent trip to the Caribbean.
Now, let's back up one a little bit. You said he gave you 2 additional bars?
Yes, sir.
Tell me about the first one that he gave you.
In June 11th exactly, my unemployment ran out, and I was receiving a loan from our company for $1,500 a month for expenses to live off, because my unemployment was not enough to pay for my apartment and to eat. Child support, it wasn't enough. He knew I was, my perception was that he knew I was getting antsy about this project and didn't have money and wanted, just trying to talked about having to get a job, something that might slow down the company. Before he went on his cruise, this sail that he does every 2 years, he gave me a bar, drove to his office, gave it to me in a bag, because I just wanted you to know I have skin in the game. That day I sold it.
On June 11th?
June 11th is when my unemployment ran out.
Oh, okay. All right.
My best recollection, the day he gave me that bar, was Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday before Father's Day. Father's Day weekend.
Now, when he says, I'm giving you this so you know I have skin in the game, what did that mean to you?
My perception was that he felt I didn't think he was into this and that he was setting me up. And by giving me that, he was equally liable.
Did you take that as a payment, as a down payment?
Yes, sir, it was.
How much money did you get for that first bar?
I believe it was $2,600, maybe $2,700. Maybe 27, I believe.
Okay. And where did you sell that one?
There's a pawn shop on Paramount Street, Paramount and Olson. It's called Pawn. I believe the owner's name. That, by the way, would be the exact day I received the bar, the day I sold it.
Okay. So let's get back to when you get back to Amarillo. He asked you to come by. You get the Cuban cigars, and you got 2 additional bars.
Yes, sir. 200 ounces, 2 100-ounce bars.
And were they packaged?
No, sir.
Any specific way or anything?
Just handed them to me. Are you talking about the silver?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Just handed them to me.
Yeah, with a box of cigars.
It was a special box of cigars, 5 different brands, a box of 5, a wooden box, inside a cardboard box that was unopened. Unopened.
Where is that box? Do you know?
I opened them at Butler's Martini Bar that Tuesday evening. Had one. People saw me. It's a pretty special thing to have cigars, Cuban cigars, especially if you're an aficionado. I actually let 2 or 3 people take a puff off the one I was smoking, but I wouldn't let them have one of mine. Over the weekend, I lit another one. It was in my house, by my bedside, in my ashtray when I was arrested. The other 3 in the wood box, inside the cardboard, in my humidor at my house. My recollection now is that those cigars and that humidor's in my father's house. I may be wrong about that.
That's fine.
I believe that's where I was told they were.
The band on the, did they have, were the cigars banded?
Yes, sir.
Band? Did they have any specific writing that they were from Cuba? Some of them, you know, say Havana or
Havana.
any particular brands that you recall?
Yes, sir. First one I smoked, I'm trying to think. There was the Monte Cristo, an Agent Oven, Romeo and Julieta. They'll come to me in a minute. I'm sorry.
That's fine. I was just curious. You know, if I was looking specifically for those, you know, if they were banded, some from over there are not banded. I know they'll have Havana on there, but I was
These are
wondering
all
which
banded.
ones. They're all banded.
The box had the Cuban tax stamp label on it. I opened it. It's still on there.
And the box is there also?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me ask you something. When you went to pick up the silver bars and these cigars, was there anybody else at his house?
I was told there. I did not see her. Sorry.
No, it's fine. Did you even see her?
No, sir.
Did you see her car or anything that would?
Yes, sir. I believe her car was there.
If you need to stand up and stretch, just let me know, and that's fine.
I'm afraid I'll get sick if I do. I'm just trying to hold this in. So,
You can get up and stretch.
yeah, I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay.
You want a break? Are you all right?
If you need a
Let
bathroom,
me walk just a second.
that's fine.
Thank you, sir.
So, what's more?
I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you.
You okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. You said her car was, you saw her car there.
I believe it was.
What kind of car did she drive?
That's one thing that was coming up. Trying to think of what it was.
Was it like a car or an SUV or?
I really cannot recollect in my brain. It's sounding like an older SUV, but also had like a Camry in there, and I just don't. I can't tell you so for certain, sir.
Okay. But he told you that she was there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Was there anybody else there that you know of?
I didn't get to go in the house. Stayed in the driveway. He mentioned she was there and brought from the garage to me.
Did he mention anything of, did he ask you anything about what actually happened?
He wanted for me to recall what happened.
Out there in the driveway?
Yes, sir. I told him what happened. His response was, "Sounds pretty clean. I changed clothes in the driveway while I was there."
You already had extra clothes?
Yes, sir. Levi's and a shirt.
And tell me why you changed clothes.
I was going to go downtown. I was in a pair of grungy shorts and a black t-shirt, a hole in it, and I was 380 something pounds, 5 o'clock in Lubbock in July. I sweat, nasty,
Sure.
bleeding. I changed clothes. I wouldn't be seen in those clothes downtown at a Martini bar.
Well,
I mean,
Now when you say you had blood here, was it from you bleeding?
yes, sir.
Okay. You scraped yourself on
Yes, sir.
that window?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So you changed clothes there.
Yes, sir.
What happened to the clothes that you had been wearing?
The ones I was
The
wearing during
shorts
the
and the
event
black, the black shirt.
later, not that night. The next night, I discarded them in 2 or 3 different trash bins in Amarillo.
So did you recount for Michael Dixon the events?
Yes, sir.
Did he want specific details?
Yes, sir.
And what was his response to you when you explained all the details?
He was happy about it. He was fine with it. He said, sounds like you got away clean.
And did y'all make arrangements to meet later or the next day or anything?
No, sir.
Just left. What happened with the weapons in that bag that you had?
After Mike called me Wednesday evening, after he had a visit from LPD, 11:30, 12 at night. I was at my local pond having a drink. Those things were still in my car. I said I needed to get out of town. They were looking at arms and hands, and actually I told them I'd been there the night before, and that they'd probably just called and verified that he was there. At that point, I disposed of the knife, the gun, and the clothes, the shoes, and the bag. Everything I had was at the property.
And how did you dispose of all those items?
I went down an alley, on some houses in a neighborhood that was west of Western Street, south of I-40. Couldn't tell you the streets. I could show you where they were. Got out of the car, took the knife out of its sheath, and pulled out a trash bag from the dumpster, stuffed it inside the trash bag, put it in, went down the alley further, did the same thing with the knife, went down a different alley, put a pair of shorts in one, went further down the alley, put the shirt in, further down the alley, disposed of the shoes. The gun, I went by Lawrence Lake. I don't know the street name. I could draw you a map here if you wanted me to.
Sure, that'll be fine. And you said Lawrence Lake?
I believe that's the name of it. Donovan Lake or Lawrence Lake. I'm not sure what they call it.
And where is this in relation to Amarillo Lake?
On Western Street and Interstate 40, there used to be a shopping mall called Western Plaza. Now it's called Western something else. There's several stores there and 2 new hotels. On the street that runs north-south, just directly east of that shopping center, it runs directly west of a drainage lake. Can't be missed. It's been there forever. I believe it might be called Donovan Lake. I don't know if it's Lawrence, but I think it might be called Donovan Lake. I was going eastbound on the access road from I-40 from Western. When I got to that street, Lakeview or Lake Road, Donovan Road, I'm not sure what it is, there is a gentleman's club on the east side of that road, on the corner of the access road. I turned southbound, right-hand turn southbound. I pulled against the side of the road, a short distance away from one of the hotels. I can pinpoint my location because in front of my car, there was a drainage ditch. There's a curb and there's an access for the drainage. I don't know what you call that. Culvert, I mean, where it runs in and where it drains into the curb. I got the gun. The clip was in it. There were no bullets in it. There are some trees that grow up from the lake entrance, it drops down precipitously, 45 to 60 degree angle.